Welcome to A Scottish Ghost Story, A Day, Series 1, Castle Ghosts, brought to you by bagtownclans.com, the podcast that uncovers Scotland's most chilling tales. I'm your host, Derek McDonald. Today, we journey to Bladnoch, Galloway, where the ivy-clad ruins of Baldoon Castle lie silent and foreboding. Beneath the shadows of its walls and ancient gate piers lurks a story of love betrayed, obsession, and madness. And each year, on the ghostly anniversary of her wedding, the tragic spirit of Janet Dalrymple returns, clad in a blood-stained bridal gown, her voice echoing through history's silence. Dare you join us in unravelling the mystery that haunts Baldoon Castle? Once a proud fortress, Baldoon Castle was built in the early 16th century, a gift from King James V to Archibald Duncan, and was later passed to the Dunbars of Westfield. By the 1600s, Sir David Dunbar, the castle's owner, was determined to advance his family's status through marriage, arranging for his son, David, to wed Janet Dalrymple, the beautiful daughter of Sir James Dalrymple. This union was designed to bolster the family's reputation and fortune, but love, as we shall see, was not part of the agreement. Janet had given her heart to another, Archibald, Lord Rutherford, a young but impoverished nobleman. She loved him deeply and pledged her life to him, yet her family saw no future in their match. Ignoring her protests, Janet's parents pressured her relentlessly, forcing her to choose between obedience and defiance. Torn between duty and love, Janet eventually capitulated, agreeing to marry David Dunbar. The castle was alive with preparations for the wedding, and on August 24, 1669, Janet walked down the aisle, her face pale and her eyes filled with a silent dread. The ceremony was a grand affair, yet an unease lay thick upon those gathered, as if even the air itself anticipated tragedy. As evening fell, Janet and David retired to their bridal chamber. What happened within those walls remains a mystery, but the events that followed left an indelible stain upon the castle's history. In the dead of night, the castle's corridors echoed with Janet's blood-curdling screams, rousing the household into frantic action. Servants and family rushed to the locked bridal chamber, where they pounded on the door, desperate to break it down. Finally, they forced their way in, and were met with a scene that would haunt their nightmares. David lay across the threshold, grievously wounded and drenched in blood. In the corner of the room, Janet crouched, her wedding gown splattered with crimson stains. She muttered incoherently, her once bright eyes hollow with terror. Whether she had attacked David herself, or whether another had entered the room, no one could say. The whispers spread, some saying her lover Archibald had come to rescue her, others claiming that a demonic force had overtaken the room. But no one would ever know the full truth of that dreadful night. Janet was quickly confined, her fragile mind broken by the horrors she'd endured. Her ramblings grew increasingly disjointed, her gaze fixed on visions invisible to those around her. Within weeks, her health failed her, and she succumbed to her madness, dying on September 12, 1669. Her husband David survived the attack, but he too was scarred by the ordeal. He never spoke of what had transpired, bearing his silent wounds to the end of his days. The tragedy of Janet's fate inspired the famed Sir Walter Scott, who immortalized her story in The Bride of Lammermoor. In Scott's words, the bridal chamber became a place of hideous shrieks, a grinning bride in a blood-splattered gown crouched in terror. It was a tale that would echo across Scotland, cementing Janet's memory in both literary and local folklore. Today, Baldoon Castle stands as a crumbling relic of its past, yet Janet's spirit has never truly departed. Each year, as September's chill descends upon the moor, sightings of her restless spirit resume. Locals report seeing a spectral figure draped in a blood-streaked gown, wandering the ruins, her face an expression of eternal sorrow. Her presence lingers near the broken walls, an omen to those who glimpse her that love denied can leave scars that transcend death. The remains of the castle's gate piers, now protected as a Category A listed building, offer one of the few surviving glimpses into the castle's original grandeur. As you approach, these pillars seem to watch in silence, keeping vigil over Janet's final resting place. The eerie atmosphere of the ruins, with their moss-covered stones and ivy-choked walls, suggests that Baldoon Castle guards secrets as yet unrevealed, hidden in the shadows where Janet's ghost still walks. Some say that on stormy nights the wind carries her whispers across the moorland, calling for Archibald, her true love. Others claim to hear faint, anguished cries near the walls, as if Janet relives her wedding night each year, trapped in an endless loop of sorrow and despair. And on the fateful night of September 12th, the date of her death, her spectral form emerges from the darkness, a timeless bride burdened by betrayal, seeking peace that eludes her. So, if you ever find yourself wandering near Bladnoch on a mist-laden September evening, approach the ruins of Baldoon Castle with care. You may catch sight of Janet Dalrymple, the tragic bride who could not rest, bound forever to the castle that bore witness to her suffering. Thank you for joining me today on A Scottish Ghost Story a Day. Baldoon Castle stands in silence now, but its walls hold the echoes of Janet's haunted past. Until next time, I'm Derek McDonald. Stay curious and stay safe.